This is awesome. It needs to go higher though, I think.
Yay!
I mean, for however, I think this was like $10. It's pretty legit.
Nice.
Okay, so you're doing Dolphin, right? Or no?
Yep.
So this will need to be able to go as high as you would go in the Dolphin.
The highest I'll go is something like this. Hey Funky Buddhas! We're going to talk about Dolphin, which is the pose of the month. Hopefully you've been in the studio and been able to play with it and learn a couple of fun things about the pose. We're going to talk about a couple of different things with Dolphin, basically dial-ups, things that you can do with Dolphin. We're also going to talk about some things that you can do within Dolphin, some skills that you can utilize in class. One thing that I want to make sure that you guys are trying at home, when you're up against the wall, you're using that for support. But if you're in the studio, please be mindful of the people around you. No, let's start over. Hey Funky Buddhas! We're going to talk about Dolphin, which is the pose of the month. Hopefully you've been in the studio, been able to play and learn a couple of fun tips and things that you can do with your Dolphin pose. Very specifically, we're going to talk about some dial-up options from Dolphin. We're going to use the wall for support, and you guys can do this at home. Basically, we're going to look at headstand, and we're going to look at forearm stand as dial-ups from Dolphin, and we're also going to do a couple of skills that can help you strengthen your Dolphin. Dolphin is a really great shoulder strengthener and upper body stretch. We're also really going to focus on core engagement. One of the first things that happens when you go upside down, we're talking about headstand or the forearm stand, is this tipping away of your hips. It's just a change in relationship when you go upside down. Your body's trying to figure out how to respond to gravity. This is super common. This crunches your low back, the vertebrae squish together, and it also loses access to a lot of your strong belly muscles. So we're going to do a couple of things to help strengthen this action. Hip points and ribs pull together, so you have a super strong front body to support the back of your body. So Dolphin, we've got this version here where you're on your forearms. We're using a block for spacing so that your joints are stacked, elbows directly underneath shoulders. So from here, you can just lift your hips and start to pike up, almost like a down dog from your forearms. If your legs are feeling a little tight there, just bend your knees. No worries. Just keep pulling in. And then again, reminder that your hips and your ribs are really subtly pulling together to support your core. Another option for hands, if you find it's hard to keep your hands flat, simply turn your hands sideways, especially with the block. You've got something to pull into center. Same thing, pike your hips up, keep your hip points and ribs pulling together underneath your body. You might have seen how I kind of had to lift my heels a little to find that access. And then last option with your arms, and we're going to play with this a little bit, is to do hands clasped together. And this is the version that we'll look at in order to go into a headstand. Again, a little note on keeping your joints stacked. If ever you're in doubt in any pose, stack your joints. It's a great place to start. We're going to clasp hands. Make sure that, we'll do this first. Make sure that your elbows are about forearm distance, elbows underneath shoulders. Then we'll clasp our hands. And then same thing, from here, you're going to pike up to Dolphin. In this case, look back at your toes, place the top of your head right between your hands, and start to walk in closer. Again, bent knees is fine. Let's keep walking in closer. And then a little drill that you can do here is just to lift one foot and really keep your knee tucked into your chest. That's going to help that core engagement that we just talked about, knee tucked into your chest. So you can just work on that, especially in class, rather than trying to kick. Just work on this little skill here. And then once you feel comfortable with that, you're just going to lift a foot, keep way up on your bottom tiptoe, and just start tapping. Again, try not to kick so that you're keeping control. And once you get that tapping going, maybe you'll start to get a little levity. And then eventually you'll start to feel the point of balance, and then you can come down. Perhaps once you start to feel that point of balance and you start to feel comfortable, then you can start to raise your other leg, eventually working into headstand. Again, what you want to avoid is kicking. What kicking does, I'll stand up real quick and do this. Working on this core motion here, when we kick, automatically we start to lose this core engagement in front. So try not to kick. Second thing we're gonna look at, we're gonna turn around this way. If you're working on forearms, stand against the wall. And again, we talked about stacking joints. If my elbow is here, and so is my shoulder, eventually I want my hips and my feet in that same line. If I kick up to the wall, or not kick, if I gently push myself up against the wall, I've got about 16 inches that my feet are now behind my shoulders, which is causing more of this happening, less core engagement. So we're gonna turn around. Place forearms however you're comfortable. It's more comfortable for me to go this way. And then from here, with my heels against the wall, I'm gonna start to come into Dolphin. In this case, I wanna look between my hands to help myself balance. And then from here, you can start to walk up the wall. Again, you wanna avoid low back pulling out. You wanna really focus on core engagement, hip points and ribs pulling together. And then maybe you start to play with lifting one leg, and then maybe lifting the other leg, focusing on core engagement, look straight down to the ground, and then come down. That's gonna be a little bit more challenging, strengthening on your shoulders and core. Headstand, you've got your skills, simply pulling the into your chest and focus on really engaging your core so that your body knows what to do once you're actually upside down. So a couple of skills, a couple of dial-up options, especially when you're in the studio. If you're still working on those skills and that balance point is not comfortable for you yet, please make sure that the people around you are safe as well, that we're not kicking, and making sure that you're using control in order to get yourself up in the air. As always, if you have questions, holler, we're happy to help.